Have you ever walked into a place and immediately felt like you didn't belong? Maybe it was a family member's house, an old friend's home, or even your relatives. And the moment you stepped inside, you felt the distance, the coldness, and a growing emptiness that you couldn't shake. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. As we get older, we start to realize that not all relationships are worth keeping, and not every place is worth visiting. But why do we keep stepping into environments that drain our energy and rob us of our peace? In this video, I'm going to show you 4 specific houses you should avoid as you grow older. Places that hurt you, take away your serenity, and leave you questioning why you even bothered. We'll dive deep into why protecting your inner peace isn't just a luxury. It's a necessity. You'll learn how to identify toxic environments, how to set boundaries, and why it's crucial to surround yourself with people who genuinely value your presence. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear understanding of how to walk away from situations that drain you and how to create space for those who bring you joy, peace, and genuine appreciation. Don't waste another moment in places that only leave you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. Let's explore how you can reclaim your time, energy, and happiness. Stay tuned until the end. It's time to make choices that serve your well-being and your peace of mind. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. The house where you are not truly welcome. There's something profoundly unsettling about stepping into a place where you know, deep down, that you are not truly wanted. The sense of being unwanted is like an invisible weight pressing on your chest, a quiet but heavy discomfort that makes everything feel wrong, no matter how hard you try to ignore it. It could be a distant relative's home, a former friend's house, or, perhaps most painful of all, the home of your family members. No words are necessary to convey the underlying truth. It's in the way they look at you, or worse, in the way they don't look at you. Their eyes glance past you, cold and distant, like you're just another guest they have to tolerate rather than someone they genuinely want to be around. Every word they speak feels detached and rehearsed, and every greeting is shallow. They don't welcome you with the kind of warmth that should be reserved for people who matter in their lives. There's no real joy in their tone, no excitement in their voice when they say your name. It's more of an obligation than a celebration of your presence. It's in the moments where you try to initiate a conversation, only for it to fall flat as if your words are mere noise in the background. The smiles they give are stiff, found red, and they don't seem to reach their eyes. The laughter feels fake, like an uncomfortable attempt to mask the true discomfort that lingers just beneath the surface. You can almost see the distance in every gesture. The way they pull away when you get too close, the way they glance at their watches or phones when you speak, as though you are interrupting their day, their space, their world. And still, part of you tries to rationalize it. Maybe you think, I've known them for so long, surely this is just a phase or a moment of awkwardness. This doesn't define our relationship. Should I walk away just because of a little coldness? But here's the truth. This isn't about one bad day, one awkward interaction. It's about the accumulation of years of subtle neglect, of your presence being something they endure rather than cherish. Their indifference isn't just a momentary lapse. It's a reflection of how they see you, how they value you, or, more accurately, how they don't. You don't have to convince yourself to accept this kind of treatment. Your time, your emotional energy, and your kindness are far too precious to be squandered in an environment where you aren't valued, where your very presence is met with coldness or indifference. You might try to push through, convincing yourself that maybe, just maybe, they're having a tough time or that this discomfort is just temporary. But in the silence that follows, when the conversation dies, and the distance between you only grows, you start to realize that you're not the one who should be trying harder to bridge the gap. You start to feel that painful, hollow emptiness settling in, a weight in your chest, a sadness that lingers even as you leave, as if you've left behind more than just a house but a piece of yourself. And that lingering feeling, that echo of rejection, makes you wonder why you bothered coming at all. You ask yourself, why did I even come here? What did I expect? And as much as you search for an answer, it only leaves you more hollow, more confused. You can't help but feel like your presence wasn't truly wanted, like you were an afterthought in their lives. But listen to me. You do not need to convince yourself to stay in places or relationships that have lost their meaning, their sincerity. You don't owe anyone your time if they don't treat you with the respect you deserve. Relationships should be a two-way street, not a one-sided obligation. You deserve to be surrounded by people who make you feel seen, heard, and appreciated. People who genuinely look forward to your company, who greet you with open arms, and are eager to spend time with you, not out of a sense of duty, but because they genuinely care. Take a moment to reflect on this. Where are you truly being valued? Where do you feel safe to be yourself, where you don't have to question whether or not you belong? Those are the places you need to invest your time and energy. Don't waste your precious moments trying to force a relationship that no longer has any real warmth to it. Don't subject yourself to a kind of politeness that is nothing more than an empty gesture. You are worthy of love, of attention, of people who value you for who you are, not just because they're expected to. When you leave a place where you feel like a burden, a weight lifts off your shoulders, and you can breathe again. And as you walk away, you take with you a sense of empowerment, a renewed sense of your worth, and the knowledge that you don't have to settle for anything less than what you truly deserve. Life is too short to spend it with people who don't treat you with the kindness and respect you deserve. Your presence is a gift, and it should be received as such. Never forget that. 2. The house is filled with gossip and negativity. There are some homes that, the moment you step inside, you immediately feel it, the shift in the energy. It's like an invisible weight pressing down on your shoulders, a heaviness that fills the entire space. You can sense it in the air, thick and suffocating, like something toxic lingering just beneath the surface. It's not just a passing mood or momentary bad day. It's the kind of negativity that has taken root and refuses to leave. The house is alive with the sound of constant arguments, unrelenting complaints, and never-ending grumbling. Voices rise in frustration, eyes narrow with judgment, and the air is so thick with resentment you could practically cut it with a knife. It's as if the house itself is simmering with unhappiness, and every corner seems to echo with bitterness. And the worst part? Every single time you leave, you feel worse than when you walked in. You feel mentally drained, emotionally depleted, and oddly disconnected from the sense of peace you thought you once had. In homes like these, negativity isn't a fleeting guest. It's a constant companion, sitting at the dinner table, hanging over every conversation like a dark cloud. It lurks in the background of every interaction, creeping into every word spoken. The conversations revolve around judgment, tearing people down, and sharing stories filled with ill intent. It's as if these words are the only things that bring any life to the space, talking about others' flaws, their missteps, or their struggles as though it's entertainment. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. These toxic patterns become habitual, and before long, it's like the house becomes a breeding ground for bitterness, envy, and resentment. People become consumed by their conflicts and jealousy, and it feels as though their happiness is contingent upon belittling someone else. The cycle continues, and it becomes harder and harder to escape the gravitational pull of that negativity. If you aren't careful, you might find yourself swept up in it, falling into the trap of gossiping, complaining, and pointing out others' flaws to feel better about your situation. And there's something even more insidious about these kinds of spaces. They make you question your sense of peace and well-being. Ask yourself, after every visit, how do you feel? Do you walk out of the door with a sense of calm, a renewed spirit, or do you feel exhausted? Do you feel uplifted by the interactions, inspired even, or do you leave with your heart feeling heavier, your mind buzzing with all the negativity you've just absorbed? It's a feeling that stays with you long after you've stepped out, one that lingers in your chest, a constant reminder of the toxic environment you've just left behind. Over time, these visits can take a real toll, eroding your emotional strength and your ability to maintain peace within yourself. And in the end, you begin to realize that being in those places doesn't just drain you in the moment. It stays with you, like a stain on your soul that's hard to wash away. There's a lesson that age, wisdom, and experience have taught us all. Peace of mind is priceless. It is not something to be taken for granted, nor should it ever be sacrificed for the sake of politeness, old habits, or a misguided sense of duty. As we grow older, we come to understand just how fragile our peace really is and how easily it can be stolen by the negativity of others. If a place, whether it's a home, a workplace, or even a group of friends, consistently leaves you feeling drained, stressed, or emotionally bruised, it's time to step away. Don't ignore the signs. Don't brush off your feelings of discomfort or unease as if they don't matter. They do matter. Your emotional well-being matters. No conversation, no matter how familiar or ingrained, should leave you feeling as though your heart is weighed down with negativity. It's not selfish to protect your peace. It's not rude or inconsiderate to walk away from a conversation filled with resentment and bitterness. It's an act of self-preservation. You don't have to stay in that environment just because you feel obligated to. You don't have to endure the endless cycle of complaints and gossip simply because it's family or because it's always been that way. You have every right to distance yourself from places and people that don't respect your emotional needs. You have the power to choose where you invest your time, your energy, and your heart. And I'll say it again. You do not have to settle for an environment that brings nothing but distress. You don't have to settle for relationships that leave you feeling drained or conversations that only seem to drain you further. Life is too short, and the older we get, the more we realize just how important it is to preserve our emotional health. It's something that becomes more precious with time, something that should be guarded with fierce love and unwavering commitment. So, take a step back and evaluate where you're spending your time and energy. Ask yourself, is this place worth my peace? Is this conversation adding value to my life, or is it simply taking away from it? And if you realize that certain spaces or people are toxic to your well-being, don't feel guilty about choosing to walk away. You are not required to subject yourself to negativity just to fit in, be polite, or maintain old patterns. You have the right to choose peace, to seek environments that nurture and uplift you, not those that leave you emotionally bankrupt. Protect your heart, guard your peace, and choose to invest your time in places and relationships that fill you up rather than drain you. Your time, your emotional energy, and your peace of mind are too valuable to waste. So don't let anyone make you feel like you owe them your soul. Choose peace. Choose yourself. 3. The house that only calls when they need something. There are places and people in life that you come to realize don't truly value you for who you are, but rather for what you can do for them. It's a hard truth to accept, but it's there, lingering in the corners of your heart like a shadow that refuses to leave. These are the situations where you're not invited out of affection or genuine appreciation, but out of sheer convenience. They don't call just to check in on you. They don't take the time to remember your struggles, your victories, your life. No, they only remember you when they want something, when they need help, when they need something fixed, when they need you to lend a hand. And they come to you like it's the most natural thing in the world, as though your presence exists solely for their benefit. Think of the relative who constantly asks for favors, always coming to you when they need something, but never once taking a moment to listen when you need someone to hear your heart. Or that old friend who only resurfaces when they need to borrow money or resources, disappearing completely when you're the one struggling, when you're the one in need of a little encouragement. And let's not forget the family that only welcomes you when there's work to be done, when there's something they can gain from your presence. Not because they miss you or care about your well-being, but because it's convenient for them. It's a cycle that feels soul-crushing, like you're a tool in their hands, something they use but never truly appreciate. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, in those quiet moments of reflection, What would happen if one day you could no longer help them? If you couldn't fulfill their needs anymore, would they still remember you? Would those calls, those invitations, still come flooding in when you no longer have anything to offer? I've been there, and it's a painful, heartbreaking realization that you've been living in a one-sided exchange, where you give and give and give, only to find that it's never truly about you. You're just a means to an end for them. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. To give is one of the most beautiful things we can do as humans. It speaks to our hearts, to our compassion, to our desire to share what we have with others. But giving loses its meaning when it is not met with genuine appreciation and respect. It becomes empty, like a cup that can never be filled, no matter how much you pour into it. If a relationship is built on one-sided transactions, on constant taking without any real reciprocity, then what you have is not a connection. It's an exchange, a transactional relationship where one person's needs are always mine while the others are ignored. You weren't born to be a tool, to be used for your resources, for your time, or your energy. You were born to be loved, to be valued for who you are. Your time, your heart, your spirit, they deserve to be shared with people who care about you, not because they need something from you, but because they treasure your presence in their lives. It's time to stop pouring into relationships that drain you and start nurturing the ones that uplift you. 4. The house where you always feel like a burden. Have you ever stepped into someone's home only to immediately feel like you're a stranger, like you don't truly belong? The door opens, but instead of that warm embrace of hospitality, you're met with a cold, almost reluctant glance that makes you feel small before you even enter. They let you in, but their eyes reveal something deeper, a subtle hesitation, an unspoken weight that you can't shake off. The words they speak might be polite, but the lack of enthusiasm, the empty tone, is like a hollow echo in your chest. You're not greeted with the joy of having you there, you're merely tolerated. The conversation drifts, yet no one connects. You try to contribute, but your words fall like stones in the air, never really landing. It's as if you're invisible, like you no longer matter to them, and you can't help but wonder, why am I even here? You start to question your place in the room, your place in their life. And that question, why am I even here, becomes more than just a passing thought. It becomes a gnawing feeling that settles deep inside you. We all want to feel valued, don't we? It's a basic human need, to feel seen, heard, and appreciated. When you walk into a space, it should feel like a celebration of your presence, like your arrival is something that brightens the room. But when you're made to feel like a burden, like an obligation rather than a welcomed guest, it eats at your soul in ways that are hard to describe. It makes you question everything about the relationship, the authenticity of it, the sincerity behind their words, and whether your worth even matters to them. No one should ever have to feel like they are imposing on others simply by existing. You deserve more than that. You deserve to be in spaces where you are not just tolerated but genuinely embraced, where your presence brings light, not awkwardness. When you find yourself in a place that makes you feel small, it's time to walk away. Not out of anger, not out of resentment, but out of self-respect. It's a painful realization, one that becomes clearer with time. You don't owe anyone your presence, especially when they don't value you for who you truly are. You're not a guest in their lives, you're an afterthought. And life is far too precious to spend on places and relationships that drain you and diminish your sense of self. You have the power to choose the spaces where you pour your energy, the relationships where you feel loved, cherished, and truly wanted. As you grow older, this lesson becomes undeniable. Not every place is meant for you, and not every relationship is worth your time. The clock is ticking, and with each moment that passes, you're giving away pieces of your life, your energy, your health, things that can never be returned. Don't let those pieces slip away in spaces that leave you empty or with people who offer you nothing but indifference. Instead, seek out the places, the people that make you feel alive, that fill your heart with warmth, and where your spirit is lifted, not weighed down. There is no room in your life for relationships that take more than they give. Choose to walk away from houses that make you feel less than what you are, not because of bitterness, but because you know your worth. You deserve a life full of love, peace, and respect. Go where your presence is wanted, and your heart is valued. Life is too short to do anything else. So, what have you learned from today's video? Have you discovered the importance of surrounding yourself with people who genuinely value you and your presence? The power of walking away from places and relationships that no longer serve your happiness and well-being is something we all need to embrace. I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned today that you'll start bringing into your own life? Maybe it's choosing peace over obligation or prioritizing your self-respect in your relationships. Whatever it is, share it with us in the comments below. I'm excited to read your thoughts. If you found value in this video, please take a moment to leave your comment, give it a thumbs up, and share it with someone who might benefit from this message. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.